Hey, good afternoon. And once again, today is Monday, March the 18th, 2024. The time now is 12:58 p.m. Thank you and welcome again. Thank you very much for watching The Echoing Voice. I want to make an update on my comment about what's happening between China and the United States regarding TikTok and how that applies to international relations. But also, I want to stress that the situation with TikTok could backfire for the United States. And also, I want to stress that there's a possibility that TikTok is not going to be sold because of the things in international relations where if a country capitulates, they are humiliated. Now, there is a saying in Africa which goes like this: talk softly and carry a big stick. Once again, in Africa, our people taught us to talk softly and carry a big stick. Basically, the whole thing is about not running your mouth too much, but making sure that when you are opposed or when you are attacked, the action that you are going to carry is so significant, so profound, that such actions will basically bring your enemy or your opponent to a realization that you are not the person to be messed with. Now, one thing I have observed with the United States government, I have observed American leaders, and part of this, I believe, is because the United States has been successful for so long. And in terms of international relations, America right now is the most dominant power. Okay, America has prominence. Okay, American leaders would just say whatever they want to say, and it works to America's advantage when America's enemy or when the country is being dealt with a weak and powerful country. Like for example, the situation in Libya. I remember Hillary Clinton saying something such as, "We came, we saw, he died." That in reference to Muammar Gaddafi when he was killed. I remember many times American leaders talking about this leaders must die, that leaders must be taken out. And in much recent cases, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham basically calling for the assassination of Vladimir Putin. First of all, when you make such statements like that, it shows the idea of superiority complex. You must feel like you are better than the country or the leader or leaders that you are dealing with to make such a statement. You must feel as if your country is much more powerful enough, and that whatever your statement result to, you will not feel the consequence of it. And in many cases, or in most cases, or all the cases, if you will, American politicians will say things or do things, and the United States government will say things or do things and get away with it. Now, in international relations, when you say something, it becomes public record. You will have to act on it, or else it makes you feel or look foolish. For example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, you saw the United States government and Western government went on a blitzkrieg of attack against Russia in terms of economic sanction. From Lindsey Graham coming on TV talking about someone in Russia who is a brute must take out Vladimir Putin, must kill him, or basically stating that Putin cannot be in power. I remember, I think it was in 2012, when there was a swap in the Russian government when Dmitry Medvedev became the president of Russia or so, and Vladimir Putin took the backseat. And the vice president of the United States, Joe Biden, went to Russia and start talking with Medvedev, basically trying to entice him to take over the leadership in Russia, basically to oust Putin. That was a bold move. You must be so bold and must feel that you are so powerful enough, that your country is so powerful enough that your enemies or the opposing countries can do nothing. In many cases, or in all cases, had what Joe Biden did in Russia, had Russia done that, or had any countries done that, the United States would have gone to war against that country. And also, recently, with the situation in Taiwan, Nancy Pelosi and some delegation went to Taiwan. Now, China considers Taiwan as a rebel state, a rebel district, or whatever, okay, part of China. Even the United States has one China policy where Taiwan is considered by the United States government as part of China. But then at the same time, the United States government is saying this and that. It is so interesting the US government is playing two games. At one point, you're saying there is only one China and the People's Republic of China is the government of that one China. And then you are saying Taiwan is its own country. The US will have to make up its mind. Who is the government of China? Is it Taiwan? Is it China? Or should Taiwan be a free country by itself? If that is going to be the case, then we are going to be going to war against China. So we are seeing a situation where American leaders are making moves, saying things which they have to act on. Now, back to Russia. By talking about assassinating Putin or ousting Putin or having some brute in Russia taking out Putin, by stating, as Joe Biden stated, that he is going to make the Russian ruble become rubble. The Russian economy was going to be destroyed. By stating in the past, where even John McCain termed Russia a gas station masquerading as a country. So all these statements and all these activities that the United States government or politicians have been enacting, now they have to act upon it. And this seems to be the case with the situation regarding TikTok. Now, the government is coming out talking about banning TikTok, basically saying TikTok basically will have to be sold, okay, be bought by some American or some Western institutions or individuals, okay? TikTok should basically break away from the Chinese Communist Party or the Chinese government, okay, or be banned completely in the United States. Now, what is going on here is ego problem. The United States is making move. Now the United States has to act on it. But then the problem now is the United States opponent is a formidable enemy. Okay, it is a powerful country economically, militarily, and technologically. And now in international relations, this country, China, is also powerful. So I think it is an ego for the United States to demand that TikTok separate from the Chinese government or from China and be bought, be purchased, or risk being banned completely, which will also mean that 170 million Americans will basically lose access to TikTok. At least that's the plan. But also there is an ego issue too on the Chinese part. China is not going to allow the purchase of TikTok. China is not going to separate from TikTok. Yes, it is said that the United States makes about 10% of TikTok. In that case, the US market is not that important to TikTok. Okay? And if we are to consider the fact that China has been going global for the past 20 years, okay? All over the world, whether we are talking about the regular things Chinese produce or even now we are talking about social media, it has gone global. What they say, the train has left the station. It is too late. China right now, to an extent, can focus on international trades with other countries and less on the United States, and it can still manage to survive, to maintain the continuation of its economy. I think to an extent, the COVID-19 shutdown and the strain on the domestic and international, what is it, supply chain, the international and domestic supply chain, basically the strain on it proved that to an extent. But if China allows a separation from itself of TikTok, then it means in the international relations, the United States wins the ego battle. China is not going to capitulate. China is going to fight on. So what we could be seeing is the United States government or America as a country, the United States being embarrassed because already there are many in the United States, whether we are talking about regular people who create and post content on TikTok, are coming out now saying that the ban on TikTok, if it goes through, will be a violation against their freedom of speech and also will be a strain on their ability to make excess income. So this, I do believe the United States government put itself in a situation which is going to cause an embarrassment. This is something that I do believe these guys did not thought it thoroughly. They did not sit and talk and think about how to move forward. I think they were acting on impulse. This is a word, a phrase that I've used in the past few days. They've acted on impulse. And if they go with this ban, they look foolish. China looks strong because in this case, China will be saying, okay, China will be looking at standing its ground, and not allow TikTok to be purchased, to be separated from China. If China allowed TikTok to be purchased or to separate from it, then China looks foolish. China lose the ego war in terms of information warfare against the United States. So what I think China is going to do, prevent the purchase of TikTok, and China will risk TikTok being banned in the United States. Now, in the future, I do believe China could begin to impose sanction or impose certain bans on American platform, not just social media platform, but American institutions of various kind. I think we are at the point where even Europe right now is straining economically, military, as we see against Russia. So a war with China, whether we are talking about economic, military, or just information warfare with China, could be detrimental to the United States security or the United States ego or the United States prestige. Now, in terms of the ban of TikTok, I think it is going to backfire in a way that if the ban go through, it doesn't necessarily mean that people will not access TikTok. What I think would happen is people will still be able to download TikTok by using VPN. So you can use the VPN. Once you use VPN, you can download the app and then still be using it. And even if that's not the case, even if many people refrain from downloading the TikTok app or using TikTok through VPN, I still believe TikTok videos will still make their way into the American sphere. Because what I'm seeing now, there are videos that are being posted on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And those videos are then being downloaded and reposted. So in this way, TikTok videos will still make it into the American space. But what the problem is going to be for the United States is that the ban on TikTok, if it goes through, will spread conspiracy theories. In this case, the use of TikTok will be such that people will feel like they're being strained. They are going underground. Whether they are bad mouthing the United States, whether they're engaging in they're engaging in sabotage, they're engaging in whatever activity against the United States. The ban on TikTok will make criticism of the United States, both domestically and internationally, go off. Basically, we will see increase of criticism against the United States by Americans and by people and institutions and countries around the world. Just because the United States banned TikTok doesn't mean TikTok is not going to be popular. Oh, it's probably going to be much more popular. Because when we look at American social media platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on, they are becoming obsolete. And right now, people are playing a lot more on Instagram than on Facebook and Twitter. So many of the people who are using TikTok now, who will be strained as a result of losing access to TikTok, will not necessarily spend all of their time on Instagram. And it does not necessarily going to mean that Instagram and Twitter and YouTube will explode in terms of their subscription, in terms of their viewership. But many will go underground and many will begin to access other international international platforms out there. And many will increase in terms of their thirst to access content on TikTok by, once again, downloading VPN or downloading TikTok videos from other sites, other platforms. So I do believe this information warfare or this ego warfare with TikTok will be embarrassing in the long term for the United States. I think it is going to increase TikTok subscription and viewership, and many will go underground and begin to post more things about, quote unquote, the leaders of America, the United States, the government, the 1%, the this, the that, the media and the financial tycoons. We could see more strain in terms of the relationship between the average people in America and the government or the system, people of color or the government and the system, because right now many who are identified as people of color are already coming out and talking about the strain that they will experience resulting from ban of TikTok. But yes, I do believe people, once again, will download TikTok app, will use TikTok through using VPN. In the international arena, we could begin to see countries around the world working diligently, cooperating to build their own social media space or spaces. Just like the sanction against Russia is basically convincing many countries around the world that we need to be very careful with the United States and try to decouple from the dollar, because it seems like anytime the United States doesn't like what we do or what we say, we get sanctioned. We could begin to see that also on when it comes to social media usage. And this is not going to be good for the United States. I am going to end here. Thank you very much for watching The Echoing Voice. Peace.